And
Wow, there
she's
you are.
back.
Yes. Well, let's see. Instagram is doing its thing today.
It is, isn't it?
Okay. Well, let's jump into the conversation, Anju. Uh,
Let's do that.
30 years later, I want to know what it is. What started the 100 Sari?
Like all good things begin. It was a really simple idea, Anita. It fired people's imagination, and I'm so glad it remains. I've always said this. After my children's birth, it remains the dearest thing to me to have happened to me. Certainly in the last decade, I was actually. Utterly mundane story. I was doing the 100 kilometers for Oxfam in January of 2015. And I used to, even on weekends, be in my tights and my tees and, practicing. I went from 5 kilometers to 100 kilometers. I'm not a runner. I'm just a regular person like all of us. And I used to always keep saying, hey, I want to be wearing my saris and I'm missing dressing up. And a few of my friends kept saying, yeah, get on with it then, come on. And I just put it up and I said, all right, I'm going to wear 100 saris this year. And because I am a storyteller, it's not going to be a vanity check. I'm going to tell the stories of my lives. And I invite others to tell the stories of their lives in the wearing of the saris that were sort of relegated to the back of our closets. I think all of us willy-nilly took to convenience wearing, perhaps something that you could toss into the machine. Saris are not like that, right? Saris need a little bit more care. So I got them out and I began to wear them and I began to tell my stories. And I must say that the 100 Sari Pack would not have been the 100 Sari Pack had it not been for social media. First of all, I want to make that statement because it's social media that actually amplified it. Otherwise, I would still be sitting in my drawing room here with maybe 5 friends talking about our stories and talking and wearing our lovely saris. But it's social media that amplified the messaging. And having done that, the way that people's imaginations were fired, and these were not just women, these were also men who were telling the stories. Because I don't think that in the Indian diaspora, Asian diaspora, the sari is not an alien costume, right? And
Yeah.
everyone has memories of grandmother, of their mother, of their wife, in saris, and people were telling stories of saris, and they were uh, the the medium was the sari, but the stories were about nani, dadi, growing up, childhood, achar, food, discrimination, jobs, breaking the glass ceiling for women, inclusivity, um, just the struggle to balance work and home. So women, I feel, after a very long time, became the center of their storytelling. And the storytelling was happening from a woman's point of view this time. So the heroes of the story were women. And I think it just became a platform for the urban woman to tell her stories. And I say urban because, like I said, it was a social media phenomena. And even 6 years ago, English speaking, though a lot of women also wrote in Hindi on Facebook. Facebook had just opened their Hindi vernacular writing. And we used to have a couple of people from Bihar also. But yeah, that's the story. That's how it began. It was just a simple thing.
So this was in 2015 that you started the Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
1st of March. It
and
was actually Facebook. It was not even Instagram. It was Facebook.
okay, Facebook.
Yes. Yes.
And you know what is really blown my mind because now 18 months into the lockdown, 18 months into the India's at least pandemic, on and off lockdown, we've all been on social media so much more, maybe 100% more in terms of time. But just to see the explosion of the handles with saris, women who have sort of owned up and they have their hashtags with the sari in it. And these are not size 0, 22-year-old models, right? 5'10" or whatever. These are women of all shapes who are beautiful, but uncommonly beautiful, who don't fit a certain age demographic. They're not in a certain, no stereotype. Has that really surprised you, or did you expect it? Did you expect the sari to have this kind of explosive presence once again, at least during the pandemic?
I can only answer this in retrospect after I've seen what is happening. And I can only explain the phenomena really by just talking about how we have all coped with the pandemic. We have all coped in our own fashion, right? Men, women, kids, we've all coped in our own fashion. And I think for women, and for women from the 100 Sari Pact, and for women after the 100 Sari Pact, for women who had embraced the sari as not only their culture and their tradition, but also their daily wear, and also a celebration of their lives. I think the pandemic kind of really got razor sharp focus for most people on survival. And of course, you and I speak from such a place of privilege. We're sitting in these beautiful homes of ours and speaking about gorgeous saris. It was also the fact that the migrant labor, the weaver, the daily wage earner was suffering. And I think that a lot of conversation began on social media on how we can help them. I remember taking part in a few campaigns and events where we wore the sari. We took stock of the weavers. They were not weaving anymore, but they were still, sitting with lots and lots of dead stock. So on one side, I think people were trying to help. So you saw that resurgence of the sari in that sense on social media for women who were committed to the cause of handmade, to the cause of handloom. And of course, it's National Handloom Day, so it's a great day to talk about this. But women who were willing to help in any way that they could help. I think all of us did something, anything that we could do. On the other hand, like I said, there was survival of our own. We were celebrating the little moments. If the Western world was making banana bread, the Indian woman was bringing out her sari and dressing up and feeling good about herself. And it's almost life affirming, right?
Oh, absolutely.
This tradition that is a over 5,000 year tradition that has been handed down to us, and we wear with such pride. When you get into it, I feel like you have the strength of the women before you. I feel like that, Anita. I know you very strongly also. You're a dancer, you're a very, very accomplished woman yourself. And you embrace the sari so beautifully, so beautifully. And I really feel that we all feel that, the gravitas that the sari brings, but also the joy and the celebration and the memories that the sari brings. And I think that perhaps was, like you said, that explosion of sari wearing that happened during the pandemic. Why the sari wearing? It made me do something that I had promised that I would not do. Never say never. I had said that I would never do a second version 2 of the 100 Sari Pact, because I really believe that a phenomena is a phenomena. It happens once and it shall be remembered. And I think it's legacy building. Of course, there's sari this, choli that, blouse this, that, all kinds of groups. But I had promised that I would not do the 100 Sari Pact again. But seeing the sheer fear that we were all under, I started the 100 Sari Pact podcast for the community. And I wanted to just do something to bring the community together, to tell our stories, and just to remind ourselves of better times. I did it too. I wore my saris very proudly for all my lives. You know, I'm a host. I present. I would always be there in the sari. Saluting the weaver, saluting the artisan who has suffered through the pandemic much more than most others, but also telling our stories. And I think that there's, like I said, it's life affirming to belong. I think this is something the 100 Sari Pact taught me. It was a lesson that it taught me. I grew up so much during the 100 Sari Pact myself. Mm-hmm. I really feel like the fact that we all are connected, and we use this hashtag during the 100 Sari Pact. We wear our history, we are all connected. We wear our history, we're all connected. And if non-sari wearers didn't think that was true, then the pandemic made it true for us all, that we are all connected and we are all impacted by what the other one does. And I'm rambling, but I think that's what the sari did for us, really. And I think that's why you saw the explosion on Instagram with the sari again, one more time.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And I think it's wonderful that the young people have embraced the sari. They're wearing it in different ways. I think it's great. T-shirts or whatever they do, but they're all looking so smart, and it's like another generation has, another generation has kind of seized it and sort of made it their own. And I've always
Yes.
maintained, Anju, that this unstitched piece of cloth. I mean, it can be 6 yards, 7 yards, 9 yards, whatever. But when a newborn baby is swaddled in unstitched cloth, and we have in the final breath leaves the physical form, a woman is dressed in the most beautiful sari given by, according to community, sometimes by her brothers, sometimes by her children, sometimes by her surviving spouse. So the sari carries, like you said, stories and history. But during the pandemic,
it's the circle of life. It's the circle of life, literally.
Yes. And
I mean, when
I know
you say that the child is swaddled in this cloth, more often than not, it's an old sari that is sort of made into the little, in North India, I'm from the North, they're called godaris. I'm not sure what they're called in the South, but the godari, it's actually the godari that the child is tied in, and it's the softest, well-worn, well-washed sari that is turned into the godari for the newborn.
We also call it godri. We have taken the the word. Yes, absolutely. But have you noticed, Anju, that during the pandemic, there's been such an assertion of gay pride, of sexual identity and the non-binary, and they love the sari too. I mean, they are just buying saris and wearing it in different ways, and wearing it as nice decorative lungis, the dhoti wrap, and I think it was fabulous. I've had some of my non-binary friends call me and say, please buy this sari for me and send it to me in Washington, D.C. or Sydney. And I thought, wow, that's fabulous.
I must tell you a story from the Pact, actually. It's from this man who is LGBTQ, and he began to sing in an alter ego called Maya. Literally, Maya. He sings as Maya, the drag queen. And he would wear the sari all the time. And I've written this story before, and he always told me, Anju, do women feel as powerful as I feel when I wear the sari? So yes, you're absolutely right. Men have worn the sari. Men have worn the unstitched cloth very beautifully in many manners. But even men wearing the sari is not unknown to us at all. Never mind their preference.
Yeah, I mean, coming to think of it, my father would come home from his business suit, his office clothes, and just immediately change into his pure white cotton dhoti, what we call the veshti. Yeah, and that was his preference. I mean, he was an international man, globally traveled, but that was his preference when he came home from work. And that was it, that piece of unstitched cloth, pure white, beautiful, fine spun cotton. So, and of course, my mother, of course, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, I have to tell you this amazing story. My great-grandmother, very avant-garde woman, and she wore always 9-yard saris, the one that goes between the legs, what the Maharashtrian women also wear. And she would wear her sort of a gold belt, because that's what they all wore in those days. And she would play tennis. She would play tennis wearing the sari, the 9-yard sari. And, she'd say, oh, it's so comfortable. And she would tell me, she says, you have all your life to wear a sari. Now, when you're young, just wear shorts, wear a skirt, wear whatever, wear your fun clothes, because you will have all your life to wear a sari. But I'm so happy that my daughter loves saris too, and that she also looks for, occasions to wear a sari. There are not that many now when she goes out to rescue animals. But and I have my grandmother's sari, one sari kept very carefully, and a few of my mother's saris.
How lovely.
Yes. So my mother, when she turned 70, she opened her cupboard and gave away all her saris, and she just kept 12 saris for every day and 12 saris for going out. She sort of just minimized, her wardrobe. And it was, she was like that. My father was like that as well. So I look at my wardrobe of saris, and you're right, during the pandemic, we've all reached out to help weavers, to help people who have extra stock. But I just want to say that, okay, this is National Handloom Day, and I know nothing is ever going to be enough for us to actually support, you know, the weaver and the sari. But I want to talk to you about so many other things that you do. Now you've told me about your podcast. I have to go and find it, you know. But then
Yes,
you
and you have to appear and you have to talk to me on it too.
I will, of course, because I'm also a storyteller and a carrier of stories. And
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
you know, you were a Pinkathon ambassador, so you've been on the road running. I see all your yoga posts, absolutely fun. You've said one, you're a warrior or a wallflower.
Yeah, because I
And
was doing a headstand and a wall stand and a handstand on the
exactly.
wall.
And what I wanted to ask you is that you have enough followers on your own personal Instagram handle, and people can say, why don't you call yourself an influencer, for instance? You know, so what do these tags mean? You know, I just want to know. I mean, do you think of yourself as an influencer? Because for the marketing world, you are.
Uh, I'm almost embarrassed by the social media influencer world. It's not for me, Anita. It's not for me. I'm very old school. I know heroes who have run the Boston Marathon, who have run all kinds of things, who teach people, who share so humbly all their learnings from what they've done in life, and they have 2,000 followers. That, you know, it doesn't make them any less the people they are. So I think this whole follower game is not for me. It's not for me. I'm very grateful for everyone who follows me. I am very grateful because I feel like Instagram is where I come and play. I give them a little bit of a peep of what I do in life. I share. It's almost like a documentation of little moments from my day. I'm fairly active on Instagram now. But would I like to sell? Um, so you know, in my other avatar, I'm a communicator and a branding consultant as well. And often I get this, you know, you're a brand. Why don't you leverage the brand of the 100 Sari Pract, and why don't you leverage the brand of fitness, etc. that you are? I really feel like my calling is in doing all the things that I do, in being more. We were talking about this on the phone, and I feel like women like us, Anita, redefine almost every day what limitless means. Not for the sake of being limitless, but for the but for the joy of exploring more and more about life and about ourselves. If in my living of my life, which I am documenting on Instagram, or Facebook. I'm not super active on Twitter yet. I'm sort of I'm definitely a plant on Twitter. I watch. I really do feel that if in my living of my life, anyone is learning, imbibing lessons of grace, lessons of authenticity, lessons of hard work, if they see that in what I do, I look like this. I'm not a by any chance an influencer body material or you know, one of those yoga, all of those kind of things. I'm not, but I do what I do with full with all my heart. And if that can get someone to get up and look after themselves better, if that can get someone to do something kind that day, I'm happy.
Yeah, because you're right. Everything is driven towards marketing, likes, followers, being an influencer, or and I also wondered. I mean, why wouldn't you sell a sari? Why wouldn't you be a brand ambassador for, you know, one kind of a sari? Because it seems to be like a natural progression. But I completely get what you say, because when you go to Facebook and you want to look at what are the categories that they're listing, they've got entertainment, writer, you know, engineer, artist. They don't have it's all these slots, you know.
Yeah.
They don't have creative crucible, for instance, you know, or something called, you know, creative catalyst. They don't have those. They've got all, and they're as old fashioned as and as boxed in although they are technology. So
Yeah.
I
So,
think,
so that's what I'm saying. Even when Instagram asks me or Facebook asks me, do you want verification and what are you? I I cannot be fit into those silos. I'm not this. I'm this, and more. And I will always be more, and you will always be more. And this is, I hope that men and women realize it. And it's fairly toxic what's happening on social media as well. While we've been talking about the lovely part of social media of all of this sharing,
yes.
I have a teenage daughter. I have a young son. I know how their life is played out on social media, and I really hope that even the influencers, when they send out content, when they do it with knowing that they are actually influencing a very young mind. I you know it's hard to see the kind of things that proliferate on social media sometimes. And I don't, I'm not sounding like a prude, I hope, but the life lessons, like I said, of just perseverance, resilience, etc. I wish that there were some influencers that were pushing that message out as well.
Well, I think it might happen
But that
because
doesn't sell a sari, and that doesn't sell a t-shirt, and that doesn't sell a bra. So we
yes,
know, we
yes.
know, we know.
We know. I think today, being National Handloom Day, today India's won its Olympic gold. I think today is a really feel good day, you know. And
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
in your bio, you've said that you're a carrier of stories, mostly positive stories. But you've also said, Anju, that when you deal with young people, mentoring or a brand strategy, you give them an idea of how that you could succeed or you could fail as well, you know.
Yes,
So can you
yes.
just yeah, so I just want you to tell us, this is not the focus of the talk, but when you talk of brand redesigning, do you think it's becoming more and more crucial for independents, like say myself or like independent artists, to really
Yeah.
rethink our brand, to rethink what we are going to, I mean, because there's a mythology that is built around, say, people like myself who've just been visible for about 50 years. I've
Yeah.
had 50 years
It's
of
just
a
that social
career.
media was not there then. That's all.
Social media
But
was
you've been
not there.
you've been out there
Exactly.
for the longest time. That's all. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's never too late, right, to have a brand sort of retweaked or refreshed and maybe made simpler, rather than think of 100 different things. So I just want your take
So
on that.
thank you for asking this. Thank you for asking this. But I really, and of course we could talk about this another time about branding if we wanted to. But the short answer is that I think that there are amazing people, amazing talent, amazing human beings, amazing human traits waiting to be discovered on social media that perhaps are not discovered yet. People like you, I know a lot of other people also. You've accomplished so much. Social media may not know you the way that the other world knows you. And if this means that I need to make my friend Anita do a handshake on social media with this lovely new audience that is sitting out there that could benefit from it, then I say, why not? Why not? Why? In branding, we always say authenticity, honesty, listen to your audience, figure out who your target audience is, blah, 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 blah. But be relevant. And I think social media is making us all think of how can I be relevant and why? How can I leave a legacy? How can I leave a little bit of what I've learned behind for the next person to benefit, to jump over, to not make that mistake, this repository of experience that you share? How can someone learn from that and be better, be more? And I think that all of us need to start thinking of how we want to position ourselves on social media. And when I say we need to start thinking, I don't mean that we need to make a whole media plan about it, but we need to definitely engage. I have so many friends, who are older, my age, I'm in my 50s, who are saying, oh, social media is not for me. It is. Social media is for everybody. come play, get to know people. It keeps you young. If at all it keeps you young, you get to interact with so many people. You get to learn something new. You know, Anita, when I turned 40, I promised myself that every year, and I had very small young kids at that time. I also had my kids traditional slightly late from the traditional is 32 and 36. I promised myself that I would stay relevant and I would learn one new thing every single year. And I've kept it. It's been 13 years and I've done that. I have done that every single year. It keeps me agile in the head. When I say young, I mean agile in the head. And I think that we all owe it to ourselves to discover new facets of our lives.
So on that note, I want to just say thank you. You've fired me up. Not just the color, not just the day, but you fired me up. And yes, I am thinking about how to engage in a more real, just to be more of myself. And it's very exciting. Each time I post something, which is what we call raw, just, a walk in the morning, it's like get such a huge response because it's a side of me or performers like me that many people don't have. They don't have that peek into a window, they only have maybe the ideal photograph, the ideal this and that, whatever that. And I think, yes, it's been a huge learning curve for me. I really want to have fun with it because I don't want it to be a bore, a chore, a burden. And I just want to thank you, Anju, for this lovely half an hour that we.
Oh, thank you, Anita.
Yeah.
But before you go, you have to tell me your sari story.
My sari story. So I have an amazing. Yes, so I have an amazing Masi, my mother's younger sister, who is like a mother to me. And I remember when I married the father of my children, my mother was so angry that she wouldn't talk to me, but my aunt was there. She just flew to New York and she was there by my side saying, I'm with you. So, and this, she's now 85 and she's moved in with me just last week, so it's beautiful.
Oh,
but many, many years ago, I would say at least 25 years ago, she used to live in New Delhi. And she had her own small industry of export. She made the most beautiful nightwear and costume jewelry. So she would travel to Jaipur very often to source and things. So I would travel with her in the car and just one of those little stores somewhere. And there was this sari. There was just this sari. It was just sitting, Rajasthani colors, right? Just popping at you, pink, orange, and look at the pallu. Lovely emerald green. Yes, you see, it's got this emerald green. So I just looked at it and I said, this is just fabulous. And she says, just buy it. And it was so inexpensive, but it was not an authentic Rajasthani sari. It had the craft, but the fabric was different. It had this mushroom feel. It just sang of joy to me, and strangely enough, Anju, it's been sitting in my cupboard. I haven't worn it in years. But today I was having my evening coffee with her and I said, you know what? This is the sari I'm going to wear today to honor your presence in my home and to remind us of our trip to Jaipur. So that's my sari story.
What a lovely story. Lovely. It's just so lovely talking to you, Anita.
Thank you. So store this on IGTV and share it, and then we'll put it up on all our platforms. Sure. Thank you all for listening. This is Anju. And please be safe, everyone. Vaccinate and get everybody else to vaccinate. Okay? Okay.
Yes.
Until next time.
Please stay safe. Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.